In the quiet town where Trevon resides, he's seen as a medical prodigy on the brink of donning the white coat officially. His life, meticulously pieced together with fabrications and embellishments, has convinced even the skeptics of his medical prowess. With academic achievements and a life story that could rival any valedictorian's, Trevon's crafted identity is a masterpiece of deception. Yet, beyond the well-spun tales and falsified transcripts lies a more somber reality. Trevon's true origins are shrouded in secrecy, buried deep beneath layers of lies. His authentic self is a distant shadow, eclipsed by the bright facade of a future doctor. But this facade is more than just a mask. It's a carefully constructed citadel of deceit, one that Trevon reigns over with a sly grin and a calculating gaze. As the unsuspecting town continues to shower him with accolades and anticipation, little do they know that they are nurturing a charlatan in their midst. Trevon, the boy who once dreamt of genuine accomplishment, has surrendered to the seduction of easy lies and is teetering on the edge of an abyss that promises both unparalleled success and inevitable downfall. Trevon, the maestro of mendacity, weaves his tales with the finesse of a seasoned composer. His life, a symphony of fictitious melodies, plays out in perfect harmony to the unsuspecting ears around him. He strides through the town, each step a note in his grandiose sonata of subterfuge, resonating with the promise of healing hands that have never truly tended to the sick. Within the hallowed halls of his make-believe clinic, Trevon is the self-crowned sovereign, a puppeteer pulling strings with the slightest twitch of his fingers. His friends, now co-conspirators, don the nurse's garb, their actions a well-rehearsed dance to the tune of Trevon's grand deception. They are the ensemble to his lead, the background chorus to his solo, a harmony of pretense and greed. But as the curtain rises each day on this performance of fraud, the shadows of truth begin to claw their way to the surface. The light of scrutiny flickers in the distance, threatening to illuminate the dark corners of their ruse. Trevon, ever the director of his narrative, must now choreograph an even more delicate ballet, one that balances on the razor's edge between the adulation of a town and the precipice of moral decay. Night falls, and the facade's glitter starts to dim. The whispers of conscience rustle like leaves in the wind. In the solitude of darkness, Trevon's visage cracks, revealing the gnawing void where truth once resided. His empire, built on sands of deceit, feels the relentless tide of honesty lapping at its foundations, each wave a reminder of the reality he's turned his back on. By day, he parades the counterfeit sanctum, his temple of duplicity where hollow oaths are sworn on the altar of avarice. His acolytes, clad in the guise of care, dispense placebos with a sorcerer's grace. The town, blissfully ensnared in this orchestrated illusion, sees not the serpent beneath the lotus petals. Yet, there stirs a tempest behind the stillness in Trevon's eyes, a brewing maelstrom of inevitable exposure. The deceit he's spun, a complex web that shimmers with morning dew, is perilous with the impending weight of truth. Trevon knows the performance cannot sustain the probing gaze of dawn forever. The finale looms, an unwritten coda that threatens to unravel the concerto of his life's work. With every accolade he receives, the chains of his own making tighten. Trevon feels the suffocating embrace of his crafted world, each lie a link in the ever-growing coil. The counterfeit doctor must tread carefully, for the path he walks is lined with the specters of downfall, each waiting for a misstep to drag him into the abyss of ruin. As dawn breaks, casting a pale light on his house of cards, Trevon stands at the precipice, gazing into the abyss of his own creation. The morning sun, a harsh judge, illuminates the frayed edges of his woven tapestry of lies. Each thread, once vibrant with the hue of deception, now appears brittle under the gaze of truth. In the quiet moments before the world awakes, Trevon contemplates the labyrinthine paths his life has traversed. The echoes of his true self, a distant murmur lost in the cacophony of falsehoods, beckon with a haunting allure. Yet, he is too entwined in the web of his making, each strand a shackle binding him to this phantom existence. The town, still ensnared in slumber, remains oblivious to the tempest brewing within its cherished prodigy. Unbeknownst to them, the day of reckoning inches closer when the masquerade will crumble and the veil will be lifted. Trevon, the architect of illusions, faces the daunting task of sustaining his grand charade, even as the sands of time slip through his fingers like elusive specters. With every ticking second, the chasm between Trevon's two worlds widens, threatening to engulf him in its voracious maw. The crescendo of his deceitful symphony mounts, a tumultuous overture to an inevitable denouement. The stage is set, the audience awaits, and Trevon must perform the greatest act of his life, not on the stage of his clinic, but in the arena of truth. The counterfeit doctor dances on the knife edge of reality and artifice, his every move a desperate pirouette to maintain the delicate balance. But the weight of his lies bears heavily upon him, a relentless force that seeks to shatter the fragile facade he has so meticulously crafted. In the heart of Trevon's crafted domain, a day unfolds like any other, under the guise of normalcy and care. Yet, this day is marked by an event, a ripple in the still waters of his deceit, a visit from his Uncle James, a man of keen insight and worldly wisdom. Trevon, aware of his uncle's discerning eyes, orchestrates a ballet of illusions, each movement designed to dazzle and deceive. As Uncle James steps into the clinic, he is greeted by a tableau of healing and harmony. Patients, carefully selected for their minor ailments, sing praises of Trevon's miraculous touch. Friends, cloaked in the guise of medical professionals, weave through the scene with practiced ease, their every gesture a note in this symphony of lies. Trevon, the conductor of this grand opera, meets his uncle with a smile, his words laced with the sweet poison of deceit. In one corner, a patient, Mrs. Peterson, an elderly woman with a flair for the dramatic, recounts her recovery from a debilitating condition, her story a tapestry woven from the threads of Trevon's fiction. In another, a young man, Michael, a friend sworn to secrecy, limps with a convincing grimace only to recover under Trevon's expert care. Uncle James, his gaze piercing the veneer, seems momentarily swayed by the orchestrated spectacle before him. Yet, beneath the surface, questions bubble, a cauldron of doubt simmering beneath the facade of belief. Trevon, sensing the undercurrents of suspicion, weaves more intricate tales, his narratives blossoming like flowers in the garden of deceit, their petals obscuring the thorns of truth beneath. As the day wanes, the clinic fades into a backdrop for a more intimate deception. Trevon, with the finesse of a seasoned actor, leads his uncle through the archives of his fabricated life, each document a brick in the fortress of his lies. The air is thick with tales of distant lands, of trials and tribulations overcome, each story a brushstroke in the portrait of the counterfeit doctor. Yet, as the sun dips below the horizon, casting long shadows that dance like specters of doubt, Trevon finds himself caught in a web of his own making. The more he spins, the tighter the strands bind him, a marionette tangled in the strings of his grand performance. His uncle's visit, meant to be a testament to his success, becomes a mirror reflecting the dualities of his existence, the healer and the deceiver, the nephew and the charlatan. In the waning light, the clinic, a stage for his deceit, becomes a crucible, testing the metal of Trevon's convictions. Will the foundation of lies crumble under the weight of truth, or will the maestro of mendacity orchestrate yet another escape from the brink of exposure? As Trevon's counterfeit clinic flourished, a dangerous confidence took root within him. He began to bask in the facade of his own creation, the line between the charade and reality blurring into oblivion. Trevon, now donned in the armor of feigned legitimacy, ventured further into the abyss of deception, his audacity bolstered by the echo of his own lies. It was during this zenith of his deceit that the clinic became a stage for a more perilous game. Unknown to Trevon, the whispers of his clinic's miracles had reached the ears of the law. Under the guise of ailing patients, undercover agents stepped into the heart of Trevon's empire, their eyes veiled but vigilant, seeking the thread that would unravel the tapestry of lies. One such agent, codenamed Hawthorne, presented with symptoms so intricate that they would have baffled even the most seasoned practitioner. Yet, Trevon, with the confidence of a man who had traversed the edge of exposure countless times, navigated the consultation with the grace of a seasoned diplomat. His diagnosis, a blend of half-truths and medical jargon, was delivered with such conviction that even Hawthorne found himself momentarily swayed. But it was not just Trevon's medical facade that was under scrutiny. Evenings at the clinic began to transform into nocturnal revelries, the sterile halls echoing with the beats of hedonism. Friends and co-conspirators, still adorned in their medical garb, danced amidst flashing lights, the clinic morphing into a discotheque as the moon climbed the night sky. These celebrations, a stark contrast to the clinic's daytime persona, became the stuff of legend, a hedonistic ritual that further blurred the lines of Trevon's dual existence. Yet, even as the agents wove through the crowd, their eyes sharp and probing, Trevon remained unfazed, his demeanor unyielding under the cloak of night. His network of influence, a web spun from favors and dark dealings, became his shield. Lawyers with silver tongues and officials with pockets heavy with his generosity stood as sentinels against the siege of suspicion. Each close encounter with exposure only served to fortify Trevon's resolve, his belief in his own untouchable status cementing further. He began to see himself not as the architect of a grand deceit, but as the rightful heir to the title he had usurped. In his mind, he had transcended the role of a counterfeit doctor. He was the embodiment of the healing hand, his right to the title earned through the crucible of his cunning. But as the revelry echoed through the night and the agents mingled in the shadows, the dance of deception grew ever more perilous. The sting operation, a silent predator, lurked just beneath the surface of the festivities, waiting for the moment to strike, to tear away the veil and expose the charade in the harsh light of truth. Amidst the crescendo of Trevon's deceit, a critical incident unfolds, one that would serve as the harbinger of his downfall. A young girl, barely in her teens, and a scion of a family whose name resonated with power and privilege, was rushed into Trevon's clinic under the veil of night. Her condition was grave, the result of a dangerous dalliance with substances, her life hanging by a thread so thin it was nearly invisible. In the desperation to shield their name from the public's prying eyes, the family entrusted Trevon, unaware of the ground of lies upon which his clinic stood. Trevon, confronted with a situation that dwarfed any he had faced before, felt the weight of reality crash upon him like a relentless wave. With the girl's life in his hands, he marshaled his arsenal of fabricated skills, a gambit that held the breaths of all present. The clinic, once a den of mirth and deceit, transformed into a frenzied theater of life and death. Trevon and his band of counterfeit professionals toiled, their every action a testament to the perilous charade they had upheld. Yet, despite their efforts, the girl remained silent, her condition a stark rebuke to Trevon's unearned title. As the hours waned, the veneer of control began to crumble, revealing the chaos of desperation beneath. Trevon, caught in the vortex of his own making, struggled against the inexorable tide of truth. The sting operation, lying in wait, found its moment amidst the turmoil. The revelation was swift, the agents casting aside their veiled identities to confront the charade head-on. In the ensuing melee, the clinic was swarmed, the law's firm hand arresting those who had danced too long in the masquerade of deceit. As the emergency services took over, whisking the girl away with a glimmer of hope clinging to her, Trevon's world collapsed, the foundations of his empire turning to dust. The aftermath was cataclysmic. The news, hungry for scandal, feasted upon the story, the headlines blaring with the ruin of reputations once thought untouchable. The young girl, by some miracle, found her way back from the brink. Her recovery a silent testament to the true heroes who labor in the light of truth. Trevon, once a puppeteer of his own narrative, found himself ensnared in the consequences of his actions. A cautionary tale etched in the annals of infamy, the clinic, now a hollow shell, stood as a stark reminder of the perilous path of deceit, and the inevitable justice that follows in its wake. In the quietude of his cell, Trevon embarked on a journey of redemption, the iron bars a stark contrast to the freedom of his past deceit. With time stretching endlessly before him, he turned to the written word, pouring his remorse into letters addressed to Uncle James. Each word was a plea for forgiveness, a testament to the transformation taking place within the confines of his cell. Amidst the introspection and solitude, Trevon found an unexpected ally in knowledge. Medical texts became his solace, the pages a window to the world he had once mimicked. With a fervor born of genuine desire, he delved into the depths of medicine, his mind absorbing the truths he had once skirted around. The art and science of healing, once a facade, began to take root in the fertile ground of his newfound sincerity. The ties to his past, the friends who had once reveled in the charade, became distant memories, their allure fading like shadows at dawn. In their place, a bond strengthened by adversity and truth began to form with Miranda, the woman who had stood by his side, her love, unwavering even in the face of betrayal. Miranda, once an actress in Trevon's theater of lies, emerged as a beacon of hope, her love a constant in the tumult of Trevon's upheaval. As the seasons turned, Trevon's path led him back to the world, a changed man bearing the scars of his past and the humility of his penance. The small, intimate wedding, set against the backdrop of a new beginning, was a confluence of those who had weathered the storm by his side. The air was filled with the promise of new beginnings, the echoes of their vows a solemn pledge to the future they would build together. Uncle James, his arrival unannounced, stood at the periphery, his presence a silent pillar of strength. As he stepped forward, his blessing carried the weight of forgiveness, a gesture that sealed the reconciliation. Trevon, standing beside Miranda, felt the chains of his past dissolve, the specter of Clinico fading into the annals of a lesson learned. As the final notes of the ceremony faded into the twilight, Trevon, now armed with the knowledge and the conviction of a true healer, gazed into the horizon. The journey ahead was paved with the stones of redemption, each step a testament to the man he had become. The vows exchanged were not merely a union of two hearts, but a covenant with life itself, a pledge to honor the truth, to cherish the sanctity of healing, and to forge a legacy rooted in the authenticity of self. In this quiet corner of the world, amidst the circle of friends and the blessings of a once estranged uncle, Trevon and Miranda embarked on the journey of a lifetime, their paths intertwined with the threads of genuine love, respect, and a shared vision of the future. The tale of Trevon, the counterfeit doctor, found its closure not in the echoes of infamy, but in the silent promise of a life reborn from the ashes of its own demise. This conclusion brings Trevon's story full circle, from the depths of deceit to the heights of redemption, closing on a note of hope and new beginnings.